I think we are good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live lighting critique, where I'm going to be going through some student work and critiquing some of the submissions from our Academy of Animated Art Lighting for Animation Bundle students. So we've got a bunch of submissions. We'll go through them today. As you can see, or you may or may not be able to see, I have there's like if you look like down here, there's a little bobbing thing. It's my daughter's down there. She's being pretty cool. So as long as I keep bouncing, I think we are all set. So I may just have to reach down and adjust her. So if you guys see me doing that, that's what's going on there. Okay, let's share our screen, move on over into Photoshop, and we will get underway. So we've got, you can see the submissions up along the top here in our Photoshop browser. So if you are a student that submitted, you can see where you are along the line. So if you're watching the recording of this, just plug in there. And if you're watching this live, feel free to throw in any questions. I'll circle back at the end, check out the live stream and see if there are any questions going on today. So we'll go just through alphabetically. We'll start here with Aaron B. So Aaron, this is looking really good. I like that you're getting some more darkness values in here. That's working out really well. I'm looking just I'm wondering if we can't boost some of the highlights just a little bit more. Like we can just take those and just kind of goose them up just a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying that like this, like we don't need to go like up there or anything, but like just getting them a little bit brighter and then bringing our midtones back down to where they were, just to get a little bit more contrast in there, I think will really, really help out and kind of punch it up a little bit. But other than that, I think that that this is a really a nice piece. I think that the other thing that I would explore too is whether or not you want to, and this is just a total look thing, because the color right now is a pretty cartoony look. And if you want to pull back on, especially on the green saturation, you see like, I'm pointing at my screen, like you can see that. Look at the green saturation. As I pull that down, it becomes a little bit more, I don't want to use the word realistic, but it is a little bit more realistic. The reds get too desaturated, but it's just a matter of, like right now, with the level that they're at, just looking at the greens again, it feels a little candy coated, which is again something you do on animated film. So it depends on how much you want to base that in reality. So, but I think that this is a demo reel worthy piece, and I think you've done a really nice job with it. Alfredo, I know that you've already submitted these three, so I don't want to talk to, I'm not going to give you notes. I just want to say that it's really great to see. And I will circle back around with the final submissions, but I do want to talk about your other project, which I just called what? Because it caught me way off guard. It's really cool. So Alfredo created this character in ZBrush, I believe you said, and it's it's fun. It's a fun, spooky, creepy character. So good job creeping me out. So I want to talk about this image a little bit. So one of the things that I noticed that's kind of causing a little bit of separation between this and your character, between the environment and your character, is there is, and I know this is probably from an aerial perspective thing, but stepping back into space, there's just more cyan on the character than there is on this object right next to him. So I would, and it's I'm totally fine with it. I actually think we need to sprinkle a little bit more of that color into these foreground elements. And that way we can allow not only the dark values, but the saturation point to step back into space. So we've got, like this will be the darkest 1, 2, 3, and 4 back there. And then, you can call that 5 if you want. But like, think about the contrast build, like the black points getting brighter as we step back, which you're already doing. But also increasing the saturation on those blues. Because right now it feels like there's only like three layers. There's like 1, 2, 2, and then both of these are in the same realm. So I just want to create a little more separation, a little more step back. The other thing that you really want to do with these over the top, very large characters is you want to create vertical shaping. So top down shaping, because looking at the size of him, we're looking over this person's shoulder. We're looking up at him. He feels huge already just by the camera location. Let's add to that with some like atmospheric stuff around the base, and then like maybe he clears out of that at the top or vice versa. Just getting something to feel that sense of tall scale would really be helpful. You're going to want to edge blur it just a little bit, like, because this is a hazy, there's a lot of snow, it feels cold, there's a lot of like stuff blowing around, but the edge of him feels super crisp. So I would just soften that just a touch to really get him to blend in. The other thing too, just because, and again, I talked about the contrast point dropping back into space, I would also consider just just nudging his dark points on him just a little bit more. I'm not gonna do that. But basically, like the way that these, like specifically this dark cavernous eye and like the inside of his mouth, I want to read those as a little bit darker, just a little bit, just so it feels like, I mean, it feels like this character is in a real sense of danger here. So I want to feel like he might fall into those cavernous spaces, and by having the values lifted a little bit, we lose some of that. And then I would, if you can, I don't know how much control you have over this geometry. I would trim this back a little bit just so we can see the full silhouette of his side kind of coming down here. But yeah, other than that, I think it's looking pretty good. I start with that and move that along there. But really, really cool stuff. Ashley, great adjustments here. I should have brought in your original, just because I think that the progress that you've made has been pretty profound. I think this is in a really good spot. Just looking, just like a little bit of a line going across her wrist there. A little bit, we can bypass that. A little bit of a, like there's a pinkish hue here, and then there's a little bit of a line cut off between her neck and her cheek, but I guess that could be attributed to makeup, so I'm not too concerned about that. I like the specularity you're getting on their skin tones. It's really, really working well. And overall, I think this is in a really nice spot. I love the way that, like we drop this down, the characters are popping off over that cool background so well. Those red lines out of there. It's just everything's working really nicely. Maybe, as a final touch, I would perhaps decrease the transparency on these reflections just a touch more. Just to allow the characters themselves to really pop forward and not compete with the reflection of themselves. So just pretending like the glass is a little more smudged up will help that. Right. Dani, we've got your, so I pulled in your reference here because I really wanted to take a look at this. All right. So we got this, and we've got this. So let's look at the haze, because right now we're just talking about the haze. So haze starts off as a very bright point there. There's a lot of like dark values in here because we're getting kind of more into like later daytime periods, and then that kind of washes over everything. And again, same thing with the other one. We've got more contrast in the foreground, and stepping back into space, we've got a little bit less contrast. Sorry, just throwing a pacifier in my daughter real quick. Quick pause. There we go, love. I know. There we go. Okay, continuing on. And let's look back at yours now. So I don't feel like there's enough of the wash kind of overtaking some of this area back here. You've got the bright point in the middle, and because there's just like not enough color bleed coming down the sides. It's like, adding that warmish orange glow back there and allowing that to separate these buildings into the background from this playground in the foreground. I think that will really help out, like help pull the space out. Additionally, like really pay attention to the specular highlights coming along the ground here, that like really nice orange tone. Getting that in there as well. Again, desaturating the color of the ground itself to allow the color of the light to really stand out would be really beneficial. And then, watch out for these red, I know we're not talking about that, but like watch out for the super saturated reds there. And then really, you really just wanna push that orange haze back around here behind the wall to really kind of help separate that out and add some depth to the scene. So I would work on that next. Additionally, I wonder if it wouldn't behoove us to, because the sky's getting very red up there. I almost wonder maybe it'd be better to either desaturate that or kind of create it a little bit bluer. Also these edges, I don't know if you're vignetting it, but actually it's looking a little bit dark. So maybe pull the vignette off the edges there and allow a color shift along there might be kind of cool. Play around with that, see if you like it. And I don't think there's anything else right now. I think that's a good next iteration for you. Forrest, yes, love that you darkened back here. We're pulling all the visual attention in here. Love that you got a little bit of extra light on the bunny's face. I think that works out really well. I am wondering if we shouldn't create some, I'm wondering if we should add a little bit more cooler value into the background. Totally, again, it's a color scheme thing, so totally your personal choice, but just adding a little bit of blue, maybe even making it like a little cyan, I think would really help out. I think that could be pretty cool. Looking at this too. I think you could probably hit these rims a little bit harder, like 10% harder. And I'm wondering if there's a way of making this character feel more mysterious, like maybe a little bit of a glow around the character, a little bit of glow maybe just around the eyes, because it's a mysterious, intriguing character. And I get that we've put her front side in a silhouette, which certainly helps in a lot of darks there. But I'm just wondering if maybe we can add a little more haze, glowy, fun effect to it. But I love, by the way, I love these shapes back here. You're getting good, like you're picking up just a little bit of that wood, and that's just enough to really tell the tale of the tape back there, and that works out really, really well. Then we got Grayson. Yeah, the haze is working really well here in the foreground. I would go ahead and sprinkle a little bit on that foreground. Normally I wouldn't do that, but like these rocks, maybe just take the rocks out, because I don't think they're really, I don't think they're helping us out that much. This shape here is a little weird because I can't tell if it's associated with an object. It just feels like a strange cutout. So maybe take that away. You know what? It might just be a matter of either taking those out or just pushing the camera back into the space a little bit more. I love you. I know you're doing great. And then as the light gets further away, this would be something else too. As the light gets further away from this light source, like as it hits these, pull off the saturation just a touch more, just so that the main saturated points around this area and allowing these to kind of tone down a little bit. But yeah. All right, Hana. All right. Hold on, I'm gonna hold my daughter. I think that might help. Ooh. This is Charlie, everybody, if you guys can see her. She's 3 months old. All right. She promised me she wouldn't do this. We're gonna talk about that later. Anyway, okay. So looking at yours now, Hana, I like the color scheme. I do want to see, do you see, like these green windows, like we're hitting the edges, but I want to see more glow out of the inside. You know, like there's not enough on the inside really kind of motivating that. The headlights on the car look cool, but I want to see a brighter source. I want to see the headlights themselves get brighter, and you want to angle those headlights downward a little bit, just because that's what cars do. And I learned that recently when I was working on a lot of car shots on a recent film. And then, you know, it would be kind of cool too if the headlights kind of flicked up some like rimming effects, or like kind of affected this area a little bit more. Just kind of getting some secondary effects, like not too much. We don't want to distract, but just picking up some secondary effects there would be really nice. I would almost turn off this piece here because it's kind of penetrating the door, and I would rather it not do that. Let's make this tree a little bit more rimlet. It's getting hit a little bit too broadly. So let's tone that down a little bit. And I think that's about it. And then I would make the main orange light coming out of there a little bit brighter. Make sure that that's our main focal point light. You know what I mean? Like make sure that one's a little bit stronger than all the others to really draw our eye in there. Kat, Great stuff here. I think that, and again, I hate to keep harping on these little things. Now they almost feel like clamped, like they feel like they should. I would just add a little more saturation into those. I think would help that. But again, love the way the character's looking. I think that's working out really well. I think you can do a little bit more fall off of these lights so that they are. I think these bright points are good. It's just let's tone. I'm rethinking that. Hold on, because they're not looking right. And I'm trying to figure out why. Part of it too is that headlights are like flashlights. Like look at some headlight reference. There's actually some shapes that are in there because the bulb is actually refracting off another surface and bouncing light in there. And I think like just seeing that they're just like clean lights are making them feel not quite like headlights. So you may just need to put a little gobo light in there, like map a little light, a little pattern in there just to get like some like circles and that kind of thing. And then I would also consider taking down the saturation on those two and allowing the purple to really carry the weight of the saturation. But everything else is looking really, really good. I like these little rim lights here. If you could work them in a couple more places, that would be great too. Really good stuff there. Keven, yes. Yeah, that's a good fill value there. It's so funny. I was saying this before and I just love the way that all of this is like, oh, and then he's just like a dude sitting in the car, like no magic aura around him. He's just chilling and wondering what the heck is going on over here. So I think that's working out really well. Same thing here. Maybe add some more, like, again, the way that these look like lights coming out of there. A little bit like a broader, just more representation of light inside the room would be really helpful. And then maybe some more rim light back here on these guys being cast from the moon. Just a little bit. Because, I mean, you can see it here, but just it'd be more like a matter of cooling it, like making it a little cooler and just like a notch brighter. Not very much, though. But yeah, love the way these almost – it's funny because, like, these almost feel like headlights shining out of here. And I'm trying to think of anything else. But yeah, and then also keep looking into it because the ground still feels like the dark points are really, really dark. So just keep looking into the saturation point there. Lamise. Great stuff here. Lots of progress. I think this is working really well. If you can, again, the same thing down here. You see how there's all these like little tiny kind of hard edge. They almost look like triangles and weird little hard edge, geometric type shapes down there. I would tone that down and see if you can't smooth that out a little bit. I like the glow that we're seeing from inside the house. I would almost take these down again because you want to focus in on this one. I'm also questioning because it also is hurting that it looks like the light on these pillars is coming in from the screen right side, and I really want it to feel like it's coming out of this. So I really want it to hit there. Like it looks really good on this pillar, but on these two, I would almost flip it so it's on the other side. And then as far as the moonlight goes, two things about it. One, the position doesn't seem quite right because we can see the moon in the shot, and it looks like it would be shining this way, and therefore like none of this would be hit by it. It would be almost like casting light that way. So I would do one of two things. I would either allow that to fall into more shadow or move the moonlight off camera to justify it coming in from over there. And then if you do that, just tone down the brightness on this by about 20%. Because it's just competing too much with our key light. I love the color though. I think the color is really, really pretty. And lastly, just watch out. There's a couple of like here and here. There's a couple of bright points. Just they look like weird little rays gone crazy, ray values going crazy there. So just watch out for that one. Simone. Okay, so the last one of the day. We have, I think that, this was your next iteration. We were working on getting it sunny. You found a really great reference. It's a little small, a little low res, but we can work with that. It actually works better because now we can even just look at it from value. So let me blur this just so we can ignore the subject matter and just focus on, and just focus on the value of it a little bit. Do that again. All right, so like looking at this value, this is a sunlit part. This is our shadow part. Now, if I look at this, let's go ahead and add the same blur to this. Like, where is our sunlit part in this one? Like we're not seeing anything quite that bright. So we really like, even with blurred values on there, we really need to see it. So my encouragement to you would be to continue to push the bright areas harder, right? Like you want something like that. So two things. Let me continue my first thought. So you want something like this with these super bright values that like it feels like a bright sunny day. You know, part of photorealism is these photo abnormalities. When you push something brighter, it gets a little bit overexposed. So on a bright sunny day, you really want to do that because you kind of have two options, right? The dynamic range of light value on a sunny day is greater than what a camera can pick up. And what I mean by that is it's forcing the photographer, and in your case, you, to make a decision. Do you want to expose for the brights and allow the shadows to go darker? Or do you want to expose for the shadows and allow the brights to get brighter? So like in this scene, they're exposing for the shadows. So we can see all these characters, so we can see what's going on in here, but it's allowing the area outside of there to go brighter. If we choose to expose for that bright area, all this shadow area in here will go darker. And typically in an outside scene, you expose for the shadows a little bit more, just so it's, unless you're going for something super high contrast. So what I think is that your whole image can come up, because so you want everything that's living in these shadows to be more of like a mid-tone level, and then everything outside in here, you know, like up in here and back in here. All of this stuff, you want it to be bright, like almost too bright, you know what I mean? Like almost to the point where it's kind of sizzling out. And then what we can do in the comp is we can add a little bit of haze, a little glow, a little bit of that added prettiness back there. The way that like, you know, you don't really see hard lines, you don't see hard edges on things. It just kind of softens up there. So that's, I would continue to take another pass at it, and we'll take a look at it on Monday of really pushing that bright value. All right, so let's go ahead and stop sharing our screen now, and I'll take a quick peek over at Facebook here just to see if there is anything that if anybody had any comments or anything, if there are any questions or anything like that going on. So, also I wanted to mention this too. We are experimenting with, just something to put on everyone's radars. We are experimenting with doing more work in Discord. We've started a Discord server that we're testing out with some students, and it's actually going really, really well. And so we want to encourage anybody to, if you're interested, we can, not if you're interested to sign up because we're still testing it, but be on the lookout. We might be shifting more of a focus over towards Discord and away from Facebook in the coming weeks, which is a strange thing to announce on a Facebook Live. I hope the algorithms don't pick that up and ding me for it. So thank you guys for joining in today. I'll post this as I always do on YouTube, so you can check us out on our YouTube channel, which is just Academy of Animated Art. I'm going to go back to my paternity leave and enjoy my time with my daughter. And Charlie, you want to say goodbye? She does not, because she doesn't know words yet. Okay, that's my cue. Thank you guys very much today for joining us, and I will talk to you all very soon. All right, until next time, happy lighting, everybody.